All right. Call to order. Please rise as we do the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, commissioners. Good to see you all tonight. Looks like the weather's holding out, so that's a good thing. Let me go through and do a quick roll call. Commissioner Bailey.
Present.
Commissioner Stork.
Here.
Commissioner Gushock.
Here.
Commissioner Spink.
Here.
Commissioner Owens.
Here.
Commissioner Skeet.
Here.
Commissioner Clemens.
Here.
Commissioner Rosenthal.
Here.
Let the record show Commissioner Tysted is on vacation tonight. All right. Total vote tonight is 8. Do I have a motion for approval of the minutes?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion from the group for the minutes?
Good.
Okay. I'll call roll. Commissioner Bailey?
Yes.
Commissioner Stork?
Yes.
Commissioner Gushock?
Yes.
Commissioner Spink?
Yes.
Commissioner Owens?
Yes.
Commissioner Skeet?
Yes.
Commissioner Clemens?
Yes.
Commissioner Rosenthal?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Secretary's report?
All right, good evening, Commissioners. On tonight's agenda, it's a little out of order. We're going to go ahead and do the Board of Zoning Appeals meeting first. You do have one variance request on that item, and then we'll reconvene as the Planning Commission. There are 3 subdivision actions and then 2 public hearings on that meeting. So, of course, you guys will need to select who's going to be participating as the Board of Zoning Appeals, but the rest of you, please remain in your seats due to lack of space today.
So we're going to have Commissioner Bailey and Commissioner Clemens just push back,
Okay.
right? So the rest of us will all be up here.
Commissioner, if I can interrupt for just a second. The Register of Deeds.
I'm not sure that's on.
Can you hear me now? Let's try this. The Register of Deeds was asked. The Register of Deeds
There we go.
has asked for a little bit of time slot to discuss an issue that's come up relative to Leavenworth County. That is on, by the way.
It is on.
Pretty important issues, I understand. Okay. Yes,
Well,
ma'am.
Just a good reminder, invoices have been going out stating they are from Leavenworth County Planning and Zoning Commission. And there's a $25,000 bill that needs to be paid by developers for things like application and review evaluation, $10,500, on-site visit inspections, $3,800, contract staff payments, $5,000, and on and on. And obviously, it's malarkey, but enough of these are going out. We just wanted to reiterate the county is not going to charge you $25,000, and to please pay attention, especially when the invoice says you can only pay by wire transfer. You can't pay by check. So it's obviously a scam, and the warnings have been, put out there before, but they're still prevalent. So please pay attention and check. Don't just write a $25,000 check or wire $25,000.
So how else are we getting that information out? I mean, that's a pretty big scam that someone has nested into. That it looks official for what you've shown me. So who's not here tonight and who may not be listening? Is there another way we can get that information out to all our friends and neighbors and family members that we've got a scam that looks real official, but it's not?
Yes. If you look really close, you can see the digitized lettering behind behind the typed print. But,
Okay.
I posted it on about 30 Facebook websites.
Okay.
I'm going to be sending emails directly to the developers that I have contact with, and just basically I wanted to speak tonight so that everyone can keep sharing. It's a scam. Don't fall for it.
Okay.
Just double check. Always double check. Go to the source. Don't just pay a bill.
So maybe the city administrators of each one of our communities within our Leavenworth County, maybe they can include it when they have their meeting. you know what I'm saying, city council meetings and so forth, they can put that out as well. So if they don't hear it or see it from here or social media, maybe the cities. But that's pretty sad that it's a scam. Okay.
You want to know about my week? I'll tell you about 5 others. So.
Thank you, ma'am.
I appreciate the time.
If you got the digits on that, Terry Lois?
I'm so sorry?
If you got the digits on that, if you could send it to the city administrators so they can put it on the agenda, and the mayor can read it off.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Terry Lewis. Thank you. Okay, sir. Ma'am, anything else on the staff report? Okay. All right. I'm sorry, Secretary's report. Sorry. All right. Do I have any declarations for tonight?
Good.
Okay. None? All right. Well, we'll begin with the Board of Zoning Appeals first. All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Got a roll call for Board of Zoning Appeals. Alan, Commissioner Stork.
Here.
Commissioner Gutschalk.
Here.
Commissioner Spink.
Here.
Commissioner Owens.
Here.
Commissioner Skeet.
Here.
And Commissioner Rosenthal.
Here.
1, 2, 3, 6. Okay, so. All right, we'll use the 6 that we've got here. Okay. That item is item 9 alpha in your agenda packet that you have in front of you. Okay? The Leavenworth County Board of Zoning Appeals will now consider case DEV 25-058, a variance request from Article 5, Section 4.1.a, front yard setback for all structures of the zoning and subdivision requirements. It requires a public hearing. Public comments limited to 5 minutes per person. Staff, the planning staff will now give a staff report, please.
All right. Good evening, gentlemen. The case before you tonight is case DEV 25-058. This is a variance request from the zoning subdivision regulations of Article 5, Section 4.1 alpha, which requires a minimum setback requirement for all buildings or structures of any nature built, erected, constructed, rebuilt, re-erected, or reconstructed shall be at least 105 feet back from the center line of all state or county roads. The applicants are requesting the variance in order for them to construct a 30 by 30 residential addition to the side of their house located at 19176 Stranger Road. The proposed addition would have a front yard setback of 67 feet from the section line as indicated on the provided site plan. The current house was built approximately in 1963, which predates our regulations, making this a legal non-conforming structure. In 2004, the property was platted into a one-lot subdivision with the restriction that if the existing house were to be damaged beyond repair, the replacement structure shall conform with the plat setbacks, which at that time is 105 feet back from the center line of the road. The proposed addition is not encroaching any further on the front property line, but it is expanding the nonconformity of the structure. Planning staff's policies, we don't make recommendations of approval or disapproval. We just provide analysis of the 5 statutory factors. Your decision is based upon whether the request meets or does not meet each of the 5 statutory requirements. If it's determined that one of the 5 requirements are not met, then the request does not pass. The 5 requirements are identified on page 2 of your staff report. The applicant is here to discuss their variance request further and to answer any questions you might have. With that being said, I am open to any questions you might have.
Thanks, Josh. Appreciate it. Okay. Upon opening this public comment portion of this hearing, those of you who wish to speak either for or against this item, upon recognition, please come forward, give your name and address each time you begin to speak. This is necessary since the public hearing is being recorded. The public comment portion of this hearing is now open. Will the applicant please come forward? Good evening, Joe.
Good evening. Joe Herring, Herring Surveying, 315 North 5th. appreciate your time. Staff did a great job, putting out the facts of the structure. It was built prior to regulations, and it was platted prior to the property owners purchasing the house, and they were unaware of not being able to just add on to their structure. They are wanting to expand their house to accommodate their expanding family. We did do another layout where the addition was a little farther north, but then found out that the lateral system is within the curved driveway, and they informed us that you have to stay 25 feet from that also, which kind of pushed them back to where we are now. We are not going anywhere closer to the road, matching the front of the house with a porch. I don't know if the rendering got sent out. That came in late today. It's a very nice-looking house. It'll be a great addition. But they are aware that if this house is destroyed beyond, I believe is it 51%? 51%, that they will have to find another location to rebuild the structure, if you approve this variance to move forward. So, it's just a series of unknowns when they purchased, and, they weren't the reason for the hardship. The hardship came when the county zoned our county. It, put the house in front of a setback line, and then of course, the previous owners put the lateral fill back there, which further restricts them for what they can do. They are here if you do have questions of the applicants or the owners. But I'm here to hopefully answer all the questions you have.
Questions? Okay. All right. Thanks, Chuck. Appreciate it. Yep. Okay. At this time, is there anyone wishing to speak in favor or opposition of this request? Anyone?
Hello, my name is Karen Botari. I live at 19250 Stranger Road, Leavenworth, Kansas, 66048. I am neighboring the applicant for the request of this variance, and actually my family sold him that property. We were unaware of the variance, the fact that you couldn't, alter the structure. My dad built this house back in 1953. It's been on the family farm ever since. So I'm in favor of the family expanding, and just wanted to show support for that. My neighbor also at, next door to me, Deborah Wilkins, she also indicated that she was supportive of this too. And if you need that address, I can tell you what it is. Does that matter?
No, that's fine.
No? Okay.
That's fine.
You're good. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Karen. Anyone else? Please, sir.
I'm Travis Eden, and this is, we're the people that are requesting this. We live at 1917 6 Stranger Road.
And I'm Taylor Eden. Hi.
And that's my wife, Taylor. Short history, lived in Leavenworth County ever since I got out of the military. From Osage County, so not too far away. But I bought this house as a single dad, and then got married and have another kid on the way. So
congratulations.
That's kind of what led us to where we're at, and we're here with answer any questions you might have.
Okay.
How long have you had the property?
I think it's going to be 4 years in August.
You just became aware of this when you went in for a building permit?
Yes, sir. We actually we're working with our contractor, and he's friends with Joe. Called Joe and talked to Joe, and we're going through plans at Lansing Lumber, and we were picking out that type of stuff, and that's when we found out about this. Which, it was good timing. We didn't make it too far.
Still working the plans.
Yeah,
you haven't started breaking ground yet. That's a good
Right.
That's a good thing.
We had our foot on the starting line, but we're not quite there yet. Anything else?
So you had a closing, you had a title company, did you get title insurance?
Yes, sir. We went through all that.
None of this came up?
No, sir. And, yeah, I honestly had no idea. I've never built a house, never added onto a house. I was under the impression out in the county you'd be fine, and that was wrong. So I'm learning all this firsthand today. Well, not today, but through this process.
All right. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the growing of the family.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Anyone else? The board? Board have any other questions, comments, concerns? Okay. Any other additional information to be presented, Josh?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Public comment portion of this hearing is now closed. Are there any questions or comments from the members of the commission? Nope. Okay. Well, I'll entertain a motion on this request. This case is DEV 25-058. It's a variance request from Article 5, Section 4.1.8, and it's the front yard setback of all structures of zoning and subdivision requirements. It's a variance.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion. Unfortunately, everything isn't working right, so I don't know all the proper language to put in, except for the fact I'll make a motion that we approve this variance as presented by staff. There we go.
Here we go.
I hereby approve a variance for Article 5, Section 4.1A, front yard setback for all structures for case DEV-25-058 as submitted by the applicant, based on the findings that all 5 criteria for a variance has been met in consideration of the golden factors.
So, all right, I have a motion, and we looked at all the 5 variants, all the 5 factors to be requested, granting the variance. So do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have discussion on the floor? Any discussion of the motion? Okay, let me call roll. Commissioner Bailey? I'm sorry, as I was. Commissioner Stork?
Yes.
Commissioner Gutschall?
Yes.
Commissioner Spink?
Yes.
Commissioner Owens?
Yes.
Commissioner Skeet?
Yes.
Commissioner Rosenthal?
Yes.
Okay. The motion is carried by a vote of 6-0. Thank you very much. Congratulations on your growth. And congratulations on your variance. Oh, this is your contractor. Makes perfect sense now. Checking all the rules and regs. That's the kind of guy I know he is. He checks everything. Very nice to see you, sir. And thank you for doing all the checks and rechecks. Amen. Amen. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. At this time, I'll entertain a motion of adjournment.
So moved.
And all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. The BZA meeting is adjourned. At this time, we will begin the Planning Commission. Do I have a motion for approval of the agenda for tonight?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. Any discussion? All right, let me call roll. Commissioner Bailey?
Yes.
Commissioner Stork?
Yes.
Commissioner Gutschall?
Yes.
Commissioner Spink?
Yes.
Commissioner Owens?
Yes.
Commissioner Skeet?
Yes.
Commissioner Clemens?
Yes.
Commissioner Rosenthal?
Yes.
All right. We were back at 8. And we are back.
I don't know. Mine is. It ain't working.
All right. Okay. At this time, we'll go to item 10A. That's 10A for Alpha. Leavenworth County Planning Commission will now hear case DEV 25-023 and 024. This is a preliminary and final plat for Tuttle Acres as outlined in your posted agenda. It's not a public hearing item. There's 2 exceptions, right? There's a lot depth width exception, and there's a exception to not conforming structure that we're looking at tonight. Planning, staff report, please.
All right, next case is case DEV 25-023 and 024, a preliminary and final plat consideration of a property that is located at 19701 163rd Street. The applicants are proposing to subdivide their land into two separate lots, which would be known as Tuttle Acres. The property does have a single-family residence that would remain on Lot 2. This case did have a concurrent case where the rezone of just Lot 2 was approved by the Board of County Commissioners on June 4th. This case does require two exceptions for Lot 1. The first exception is for the non-conforming structure. It is an accessory structure without a principal structure that exceeds 600 square feet, and the parcel size is less than 40 acres. The accessory structure is being used for agricultural purposes as the applicants currently farm Lot 1. The second exception is for the lot depth to lot width, as it exceeds the 1-to-4 ratio by approximately 512 feet. The exception is based upon 3 criteria needed for the approval, and those can be found within your staff report. As a reminder, we'll need a motion for the approval, or we'll need a motion for the exception before the disposition of the plats. If the exceptions were to be approved, it would be in conformance with regulations. The applicant is here to discuss the request further and to answer any questions you might have. With that being said, I am open to questions you may have.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Questions? Questions for staff? Okay.
No.
All right. All right. Does the applicant wish to speak? You're liking this position you're holding now, aren't you? Getting to see you quite often.
Well, it's nice to see you too, and it's also nice to
Thank
go home
you.
and have dinner with my girls here. So,
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Planning Commission. I appreciate your time this evening. Appreciate staff's recommendation on this and their outlining of it and such. This is just the plat, that we brought through the rezoning for. I understand that it doesn't fully comply with all of the zoning regulations, but as Josh said, they own that land to the north, which gives them far more than 40 acres, regarding the accessory building. It's just a barn that they're using. And then as far as the ratio goes, as we've discussed with the rezoning, there's just not a lot of road frontage here from the way that it's been cut up in the past. So we appreciate your consideration and would respectfully request that you approve these exceptions and our plat.
All right. Do I have any questions from the commissioner for her? Questions? Concerns? Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any additional information to be presented?
No, sir.
Oh, okay. Okay. Questions, comments from the members of the commission? Concerns? Okay. All right. I'll entertain a motion for the exception. The first exception is the lot depth width, I believe, is the way I've got it written down. Or is it non-conforming structure first?
It should be non-conforming structure.
Thank you. Yeah, non-conforming structure. Okay, so at this time, I'll entertain a motion for the exception of the non-conforming structure.
I'll go ahead and do it. I hereby approve the exception from Article 50, Section 43H, non-conforming structure conformance with zoning and subdivision regulations for the Tuttle Acres subdivision as submitted by the application based on the finding that all 3 criteria for the exception have been met.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, I'll call roll. Commissioner Bailey?
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart?
Yes.
Commissioner Gusstock?
Yes.
Commissioner Spink?
Yes.
Commissioner Owens?
Yes.
Commissioner Skeet?
Yes.
Commissioner Clemens?
Yes.
Commissioner Rosenthal?
Yes.
The first exception is approved. It's carried by a vote of 8-0 for the non-conforming structure. At this time, I'll entertain a motion for the exception for the lot depth width exception.
I'll continue. Hereby approve the exception for Article 50, Section 43I, lot depth to width, lot width conformance with the zoning and subdivision regulations for the Tuttle Acre subdivision as submitted by the application based on finding of all three criteria of the exception have been met.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Do I have discussion? Okay. Give me just a second here. All right. I'll call roll. Commissioner Bailey?
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart?
Yes.
Commissioner Gutschall?
Yes.
Commissioner Spink?
Yes.
Commissioner Owens?
Yes.
Commissioner Skeet?
Yes.
Commissioner Clemens?
Yes.
And Commissioner Rosenthal?
Yes.
All right. Let the record show the motion is carried by a vote of 8-0. At this time, I'll entertain a motion for the plat. This is a final plat, preliminary and final plat that we're looking at for a motion.
I'll go ahead. I find the subdivision request complies with zoning and subdivision regulations and move to recommend approval to the Board of County Commissioners of the request as outlined in case DEV 25-023 and 024 based on recommendations of planning staff and the findings set forth in the staff report.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioners. I have a motion and a second. Do I have discussion? The motion is to approve. Okay, I'll call roll. Commissioner Bailey?
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart?
Yes.
Commissioner Gutschall?
Yes.
Commissioner Spink?
Yes.
Commissioner Owens?
Yes.
Commissioner Skeet?
Yes.
Commissioner Clemens?
Yes.
Commissioner Rosenthal?
Yes.
Let the record show the motion is carried by a vote of 8-0. The Board of County Commissioners will consider this item no earlier than June 25th, 2025 at 9 a.m. in the Leavenworth County Courthouse. Okay, the next three items are single items. We are now at 10B as in Bravo. The Leavenworth County Planning Commission will now hear case DEV 25-037. This is a boundary line adjustment exception. McGee, Runenbaum, as outlined in the posted agenda. This is not a public hearing item. Planning staff report, please.
All right, gentlemen, the next case is case DEV 25-037. The applicants are requesting an exception from the zoning and subdivision regulations of Article 50, Section 40.3.I. That is the lot depth to the lot width ratio for properties located at 26305 and 26253 155th Street. This is also known as tracks 1 and 2 on the proposed boundary line adjustment. The applicants are proposing to adjust the boundaries of 6 parcels down to 5. Track 1 is acquiring a small portion that is around the lake to reduce the ownership of the lake to 2 properties. Track 1 exceeds the 1-to-4 ratio by approximately 842 feet, and Track 2 exceeds the 1-to-1 ratio by approximately 60 feet. The exception are based upon the 3 criteria needed for the approval, and those can be found within the staff report. If the exceptions were to be approved, they would be in conformance with regulations. The applicant is here to discuss the request further and to answer any questions you might have. With that being said, I am open to questions you may have.
Any questions for staff? Okay, thank you. Thank you, appreciate it. Does the applicant wish to speak?
Joe Herring, Surveying, 315 North 5th. Staff again explained it very well. as he stated, there were 6 parcels. We're going down to 5, 4 of which, or possibly 5, had water, portion of the water on their land. And the family wanted to reduce the number of people who actually are responsible for the water. And it's going to be down to 2 tracts will be responsible. And then they have an agreement with family and the new owner on who maintains and who has water rights outside of the survey process. For the exception on the first tract, that tract really remained how it was originally. It just naturally had that configuration, and we just added a small portion around a cove of water to get the second tract off of it. That's basically it. Do you have any questions?
Questions for the applicant? Anybody? Okay. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. Yep. Any other additional information to be presented?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Questions, comments from the members of the commission? Okay. All right. I'll entertain a motion for the exception. The exception is boundary line adjustment exception. Case DEB 25-037. I'm sorry.
I'll take it. Chairman, I hereby approve the exception for Article 50, Section 40.3.I, lot depth to lot width ratio in conformance with the zoning and subdivision regulations for case DEB 25-037, as submitted by the application based on the findings that all 3 criteria for the exceptions have been met.
Okay, I have a motion for approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, let me call roll. Commissioner Bailey.
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart.
Yes.
Commissioner Guschock.
Yes.
Commissioner Spink.
Yes.
Commissioner Owens.
Yes.
Commissioner Skeet.
Yes.
Commissioner Clemens.
Yes.
Commissioner Rosenthal.
Yes.
All right. Let the record show the motion is carried for approval of 8-0. We are now at item 10C as in Charlie. The Leavenworth County Planning Commission will now hear case DEV 25-054. This too is a boundary line adjustment exception at Altenhofen. I guarantee I'm mispronouncing that. And Venezuela, as outlined in posted agenda. This is not a public hearing. The planning staff will now give a staff report, please.
All right, gentlemen, the next case is case DEB 25-054. The applicants are requesting an exception from the zoning and subdivision regulation of Article 50, Section 40.3I, which is the lot depth to lot width ratio for Tract 1 on the proposed boundary line adjustment. The applicants are proposing to adjust the boundaries of 3 parcels into 2. Tract 1 is acquiring approximately 5 feet in width to match the road frontage requirements for the RR 2.5 zoning district. Approximately 3 acres in total is being acquired from the adjacent property owner. That's for Tract 1. The request is removing a non-compliant property by absorbing it into the lots with frontage. The exception is based upon 3 criteria needed for the approval, and those can be found in your staff report. If the exceptions were to be approved, it would be in conformance with regulations. The applicant is here to discuss their request further and to answer any questions. With that being said, I am open to questions that you may have.
Thank you, Josh. Questions for staff? Okay. Does the applicant wish to speak?
Joe Herring, 315 North 5th Street, Herring Surveying. The explanation's there. I believe this was rezoned in 24.
I think it might have been the first part of this year.
Okay. So you've seen this before.
Yes.
And it went through a rezone to allow to get to the 200 feet. And that's why they're only acquiring just enough to have the proper road frontage, but then take it all back and square up the properties.
Okay. Questions? Questions for the applicant? Okay. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. Any additional information to be presented?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir. Questions and comments from members of the commission? Okay, at this time I'll entertain a motion for the exception of Track 1 lot width to depth ratio from 3 to 2 lots. Case DEV 25-054 boundary line adjustment exception.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we hereby approve an exception from Article 50, Section 40.3.I, lot depth to lot width ratio, in conformance with the zoning and subdivision regulations for case DEV-25-054, as submitted by the application based on a finding that all 3 criteria for the exception have been met.
I second.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve as stated. Any discussion? All right, I'll call roll. Commissioner Bailey?
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart?
Yes.
Commissioner Guschock?
Yes.
Commissioner Spink?
Yes.
Commissioner Owens?
Yes.
Commissioner Skeet?
Yes.
Commissioner Clemens?
Yes.
Commissioner Rosenthal?
Yes.
All right. Let the record show the motion is carried by a vote of 8-0, approving of the exception. We are now at 10D. 10D is in Delta.
If I could interrupt for a second.
Yes, sir.
Before we move on into the public hearing stage of the meeting, I'd like to take just a second before it gets too late to recognize Commissioner.
I was going to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I'll back off. And
Thank you.
At your discretion.
Thank you. Okay. Yep. Okay. Before we get started in our first public comment portion, public hearing portion of this staff, we want to give a small thank you and a strong appreciation to Commissioner Stephen Rosenthal. He has been with us, I think it's been over 30 years. You have voluntarily served as a commissioner on the Planning and Zoning Commission.
I didn't think it was that long.
Well, the only reason I know that is because I'm 34 years old and I remember coming in. All right, watch it, Joe. Anyway, Commissioner Rosenthal, thank you so much from all of us here tonight, and all of us that have it's truly been an honor and a privilege, as tonight will be your last night to serve with us, and it's been well over 30 years, and I can't thank you enough. It has truly been an honor and a privilege to have you volunteer to serve on such a distinction Planning and Zoning Commission.
Yeah, well, thank you, and I'm leaving it in good hands, so guys, keep at it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Very rewarding job.
We had refreshments earlier. I was trying to have a cake here, but with this 98 degrees outside, the cake melted, everything, I'm just... I'm just kidding. Thank you, Commissioner Rosenthal. Okay. At this time, the Leavenworth County Planning Commission will now hear case DEV 25-057. This is a rezoning request from RR5 to R143, as outlined in posted agenda. This requires a public hearing. Public comment portion is limited to 5 minutes per person. Planning staff report, please.
Right. Case DEV 25057, as stated as a rezoning request. The parcels in question are 23326 and 00000 Reno Road. These parcels are part of the old Reno Township plat. So as you can see in the map, there's a lot of small parcels in this vicinity. They're all part of that original township plat. The applicant is requesting to rezone their parcel to R143. They're currently at R5 because their parcels that they own, which are side by side, as you can see in the orange there, are approximately 1.3 acres in size. They are wanting to combine those parcels primarily because their septic system is failing on the site that their house is on, and they do not have sufficient area to install a new septic system on that parcel. As you can see, the house there is in the southwest corner. So they would like to combine it with the larger parcel around it to give them the area to install a new septic system. Obviously, to combine it, you would have to comply with the underlying zoning district's minimum standards, and they cannot do that. So therefore, they are requesting to rezone to R143. Now, staff did provide an analysis of the golden factors that you guys have to consider for a rezoning request. And while this does not comply with the comprehensive plan, which has this area identified for residential 2.5 acre, staff is not in opposition to this request, primarily because there was another parcel in this vicinity, actually within the notification area, that was rezoned to R143 in 2014 under similar circumstances. So because that zoning designation is in the vicinity, staff is not opposing this request. We're not necessarily approving, but we're not opposing this request if you guys find that it meets.
Yep. Thank you. Well done. Upon opening this public comment portion of this hearing, those of you who wish to speak either for or against this item, upon recognition, please come to the podium, state your name and address each time you begin to speak. This is necessary since this is a public hearing and it's being recorded. The public comment portion of this hearing is now open. Will the applicant please come forward?
Chip DeMoss, 16582 Douglas Street, Baser. I'm the Rose's attorney. I don't think I can add much more than what she already said. She laid it all out real well. What it was, they owned the house on a smaller lot, and they bought this other one. I think I helped them. Somebody bought it in a tax sale, and they bought it from them, and they just want to expand it. I'll put it in one lot now. So if you have any questions, I can try and answer them.
Questions for the applicant? Question? Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Will we will now hear from those individuals present wishing to speak in favor of the request. Okay. Those wishing to speak in opposition of the request? Sir, you may be the only one here tonight. No. It's the suit that gave it away. Okay. Any other additional information to be presented, ma'am?
No, sir.
Thank you, Amy. All right. The public comment portion of this public hearing is now closed. Kansas law allows for a petition protecting the decision of the Planning Commission to be filed. The petition must be filed within 14 calendar days after the date of the public hearing. Additional information on the filing of a protest petition can be obtained from the Office of the Planning and Zoning. Questions and comments from the members of the Commission? Discussion.
We sure don't want sewage running all over the Reno Township, do we, guys?
Good point there. Good point there. That would be a nasty mess, right? Pun. Okay. Okay. At this time, I'll entertain a motion on this request, a rezoning request, RR5 to R143. For case DEV 25-057.
I'll take it, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I find that the rezoning request complies with the golden factors and move to recommend approval to the Board of County Commissioners of the request as outlined in case DEV 25-022 based on the recommendations of the planning staff and the findings as set forth in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion of approval of the request by Commissioner Clemens, and I have a second by Commissioner Stork. Do I have any discussion on the motion on the floor? Good, sir. Okay.
And just to clarify, is this case 25, right? 057?
Yes, ma'am. Case DEV 25-057.
Okay.
Did I say it really fast? And my
I think
southern
we heard
drawl,
it 2-2, so we're just making sure.
Yeah, my southern drawl tends to come out when it starts getting late at night. Let me get my Kansas lingo going here. Case DEV 25-057. Thank you, ma'am. All right, I have a motion and I have a second. And I need to call the roll real quick because I've already asked. No questions, no concerns. Commissioner Bailey?
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart?
Yes.
Commissioner Guschalk?
Yes.
Commissioner Spink?
Yes.
Commissioner Owens?
Yes.
Commissioner Skeet?
Yes.
Commissioner Clemens?
Yes.
Commissioner Rosenthal?
Yes.
All right. The motion is carried in approval of a vote of 8-0 for the rezoning request. Thank you, sir. Okay. We're at item 10E is an echo. The Leavenworth County Planning Commission will now hear case DEV-25-011, special use permit for a disposal or storage of waste material for Flatland Disposal, LLC, as outlined in the posted agenda. This requires a public hearing. The public hearing portion is limited to 5 minutes per person. In addition, if someone has already gotten up and addressed your issues that you want to bring up, feel free to come up and recognize your name and just restate. I'm here, they've already addressed my issues, record my name and address as we can move on for this. All right? And we are limited to 5 minutes. Please don't make me be the bad person. At the end of 5 minutes, the little clock will go up here, and we can no longer hear you. Okay? All right? Staff report, please.
All right. Case DEV 25-011, as stated, is a special use permit request for a storage and disposal of waste. Special use, specifically a construction and demolition waste landfill. As you can see before you, I have provided you with a definition. Sometimes there's some confusion between the different types of landfill waste, specifically for construction and demolition debris. So you have the first, which is a clean rubble, which is concrete products, including reinforcing steel, asphalt, pavement, brick, rock, and uncontaminated soil. In this case, it's a construction and demolition waste landfill that they are proposing to do, which, as you can see, is significantly more. So solid waste resulting from construction, remodeling, repair, and demolition of structures, roads, sidewalks, utilities, untreated wood and sawdust, treated wood. Small amounts of municipal solid waste is permitted. I believe it's a percentage of their intake, and I don't for the life of me remember, something about 10 to 20%. Somebody probably can correct me on that. And then furnitures and appliances, which ozone depleting chlorofluorocarbons have been removed. Solid waste consisting of motor vehicle, window glass, and solid waste consisting of vegetation from land clearing and grubbing, utility maintenance, and seasonal or storm-related cleanup. So I just wanted you guys to make you aware of what that specific landfill request they are applying for here, and that's that C and D. So the request is to operate a 22.81 acre construction and demolition landfill. This is a new standalone permit on the parcels located at 0000 Turner Road. The PID numbers are in the staff report for you. They are requesting to operate from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, and then 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturdays. Sundays will be no operation. They are proposing up to 8 employees will be on site. Truck traffic, they indicated an initial amount of 15 trucks per day, but they could get up to 60 trucks per day as part of their proposal. Trucks would be entering the property from an existing entrance on 227th Street on an adjoining parcel, and then they will be using internal roads from that adjacent parcel to access these 2 parcels that are part of this request. They will be using heavy equipment to operate on the site, and then they are proposing storage of chemicals, fuel, and lubricants as part of their business operations. A temporary bathroom, scale house, and Connex storage boxes for the use of this business will be located on the adjacent parcel. And they are proposing some landscaping, but they're going to be utilizing existing vegetation. Now, that is just a quick snapshot of the full proposal. That was all provided for you in your staff report. So if you have questions, the applicant agent is in attendance, and they can definitely answer those. Staff did provide a full analysis for you in our staff report, and based off that analysis, staff is recommending denial based on the fact that we felt multiple factors were not met. So if you have any questions about that analysis, please ask as we move forward. Otherwise, that is the majority of staff's presentation. As I said, the applicant agent is in attendance for you guys if you have questions for them.
Okay, so commissioners, you have the full staff report in front of you to include factors to be considered. Okay, and we've had this in plenty of time notice to read thoroughly and understand. Okay, all right. Any questions for the staff before we get started?
I have some. There's existing one at this time. Is that active?
Currently, there is an SUP on that site. However, there is a cease and desist order from the state. So operations on that site, as far as our understanding, are not currently going.
However, this action is not part of that action. This is a standalone action.
So it's going through the first.
The only component that's going through is the access point. Again, this is standalone. These SUPs are standalone for the tracks behind it.
Okay. Any other questions for the staff? Okay. All right. Upon opening this public comment portion of this hearing, those of you who wish to speak either for or against the item, upon recognition, please come up to the podium, give your name and address each time you begin to speak. It's necessary since the public hearing is recorded. You'll get one time, limited to 5 minutes. And like I said, if someone has addressed all your issues, please feel free to come up, say your name, and then, basically say, hey, I agree with someone has already covered all my issues, but I want you to record my name and my address. I have the same concerns, or I have the same pro for it. Okay? All right. The public comment portion of this hearing is now open. Does the applicant wish to speak? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Vince Kuzi. I'm with the Polsinelli Law Firm. My address is 900 West 48th Place, Kansas City, Missouri, 64112. I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicant, Flatland Disposal. Also in attendance with me is Mr. Tony Malini with Terracon. He is a representative of the applicant as well. And we have members of the applicant with us, the owner, Mr. Matt Blackburn. And we're here tonight to first thank you for taking the time to consider our request. Thanks staff for working through it. And we've read through staff's report and really just wanted to have the chance to respond on a few of the points that were considered therein. First, as staff alluded to, they are recommending denial of the application before you tonight. One of the factors considered is staff concludes that the proposal before you does not match the character of the neighborhood. While we understand that the application before you tonight is evaluated as a standalone project, a standalone landfill, we have to acknowledge that it is essentially an extension of the landfill on the adjacent parcel. In that vein, in the report, staff suggests that the proposed commercial truck traffic, which is estimated at approximately 5 trucks per hour, 60 per day, would have a detrimental impact on the surrounding properties. Respectfully, we disagree that this low volume of truck traffic rises to a level that would constitute a detrimental impact, but we acknowledge staff's position. Moreover, again, as you all are aware, a landfill has been a part of this neighborhood for over 70 years, and staff's conclusion that this extension doesn't match the character of the neighborhood, or that this extension would adversely change the character of the neighborhood, is, in our belief, unfounded. Additionally, the next factor that was considered by staff is that zoning and uses of the nearby property. Staff notes that typically industrial uses are not compatible with residential zoning districts, but ignores the fact that the county's code expressly authorizes this proposed use, albeit by an SUP, in these residential zoning districts. Additionally, while we do acknowledge and agree that some of the nearby properties are used for residential purposes, it's also important to note that many are also comprised of vacant land. Moreover, we must note that the zoning for the property, the subject property that we're discussing tonight, is identical to the zoning for the existing landfill, which, as mentioned, was approved by a former SUP, considering the same factors that staff analyzed today, or to arrive at its decision tonight. When you consider those factors holistically, it seems that we can't ignore the fact that the existing landfill, the approval of an SUP for that existing landfill on property that is adjacent to, in the same zoning district, the same uses, next to the other properties that staff reviewed, sets a clear precedent that the proposed use before you tonight within a residential district is allowed. Additionally, another factor that staff considered is the suitability of the property for the uses to which it has been restricted, which would be the residential. Again, as mentioned, the county code expressly permits this use of a landfill within the residential zoning district by SUP. Again, there's been a landfill on the adjacent property for decades. It seems clear that extension of this use on this property is a clearly suitable use for the property. Lastly, one point that staff notes in its staff report is that our proposal fails to adhere to the comprehensive plan. We would just like to note that comprehensive plans are merely used as a guidepost for development. Deviations therefrom are routine. Additionally, one point that we noted was the county's future land use plan, especially in the area of this property, is almost entirely residential, meaning that any non-residential use will almost always require an SUP, and on its face, no proposal is going to fit in the perfect box of the comprehensive plan. Lastly, we wanted to note that in regards to the question about is the existing landfill operating, it's an important distinction that the cease and desist was ordered on the what I would call the landfill operations of that property. The quarry component of that project is still operating. Also, it's important to note that in 2023, the county took another review of the existing landfill, considered that SUP, and allowed it to operate.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Back to 5.
That's it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Sir, you were part of the gentleman next to you, part of the lawyer. Were you going to speak as part of the applicant as well, sir? I don't want to skip past you because we're fixing to go right into for and against.
My name is Tony Malini. I'm with Terracon. Address is 1815 South Eisenhower, Wichita, Kansas. He was talking about the comprehensive plan and using it as a guidepost for development. It's clear that there has to be some latitude in how that plan is applied. And it has to look at the entire situation, the site, the actual existing uses, the proposed uses. This is an extension of an existing operation that has been approved by this SUP1, and we don't view SUP2 as being a separate request. It's an extension of the existing operating landfill out there. We wanted to also consider, the benefits of the landfill. Nobody's talking about that. It's going to bring jobs to the area. It's an economic activity to the parcels of land. Will remain vacant. Most of the land around is vacant. It provides the community with the resources to cost-effectively and safely manage C&D waste. Without the landfill, the community may start seeing more illegal dumping, C&D waste, non-permitted areas, and that's going to create a health hazard in the community. My client is committed to working with the county staff as necessary to obtain approval as SUP. We've had multiple submittals and revisions over the last 2 years. I've been trying to be responsive to the commission's requests in that, and there's been a lot of time and effort spent to pursue this with the county. Like I said, we are also committed to meeting the KDHE requirements as far as operating this landfill in compliance with the state regulations. So the permitting, the design, the construction, and the operation of the landfill will adhere to the KDHE requirements out there. Again, we appreciate your consideration on this matter.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir, and you are?
I'm Mark Blackman. I'm the owner of Universal Waste System, the parent company of Flatland Disposal.
Okay. Part of the applicant.
I'm part of the applicant.
Okay, sir. Please.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
I'll just cut to the chase because I only have 5 minutes, and I think we need a lot more time than 5 minutes to really discuss the overall program of the landfill and some of the ideas and some of the programs that our company would like to offer to the community. Recycling programs, money back to the community, more of a partnership than just landfill the way it's been run for the last 70 years or whatever in that time frame. I know there's a lot of history here, and I really don't know a lot of that history. I try not to get involved in that history. I'm here as a new applicant, although I really do believe it's just an extension of the existing landfill that we have now. We've been here a year and a half, almost 2 years. We got the fire put out. We cleaned up the landfill. We've done a lot of things to that landfill since all the issues that have come up. And I know there are issues. And again, I don't really want to get into that. I want to look ahead, look to the future, look to the betterment of the community, and try to make this a advantageous site for everybody. The people need it. We need these facilities, whether we like them or not. We do need them. And we can help save the county money, the residents' money. We've offered a host fee here so that every ton that comes in that the county gets paid a certain amount of money. We offered, and that's negotiable. But I just don't think it's with all due respect, I don't think it's to the benefit of everybody tonight just to give us 5 minutes. We've got a no vote before we even had a chance to talk to you about all the programs. I've been trying for almost 3 years now. I've had meetings a couple times in the office. Appreciate that. But not a lot of response. And when you look at our application, the application says that we just filed in 2025. We filed in December of 2023. And we just want to be heard. We want to be heard. We want to, at the end of the day, if the people don't want us here, we respect that. But we'd like the opportunity to show you what we're all about, show you what we can do. Show you our operations that we have. We work in 5 states. We're a family-owned company, but we're really good at what we do. I can show you some landfills that we operate now and look at those, and you'll see what you got coming here. Some really professional, totally professional, and something that I think you could be proud of, and we can make this a positive. So I just ask you to give us more time. Maybe extend this. Let us come in and talk to staff. I would hope that we could have a good relationship with staff here, and they'd be open-minded to what we have to offer. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Okay. At this time, we will now hear from those individuals present wishing to speak in favor of the request. Okay. We will now hear from those individuals present wishing to speak in opposition of the request.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners, gentlemen. I'm Matthew Snyder, 22247 Turner Road. I'm about 500 meters west of that white line, which means, well, we retired in Easton because we want to live with the land. I will never respect a company that only wants to take from the land. This puts it directly in my line of sight. there are no benefits for the community for a landfill in this area. The illegal dumping, ranchers burn. We know exactly how to deal with our trash, and there's trash service. Jobs, nobody from the community is actually hired at that quarry or landfill. They bring stuff over. From a business perspective, MCI Terminal is already sitting. MCI Terminal A is already sitting in that landfill because that was their first contract. 2 families have tried to leave but cannot sell the property. Business will not move into the area of Easton because of the Easton dump. It's not. The perspective is not that it's a flatland dump. It is the Easton dump, and that's currently what they're looking at. It will kill the community the longer we do it. This is also why the permit requires letters of support from the community. Guess what? Overland Park, Lenexa, and anywhere in Missouri are not my community for this special use permit. And you'll see some of those letters in there. Whether a permit is approved or not, what forcing functions are going to be available to reinforce the conditions of the permit? It didn't work last time when there was only 25 trucks per day. It was causing such a ruckus. So I recommend denial of the special use permit. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Snyder.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
I'm Kyle Smith. I live on 22476 Turner Road, not even 500 meters from the dump. So I'd just like to say that I know that these fine men that came up on behalf of the dump don't live in the area, so they can't really speak to what we go through on a daily basis. I know that I read in the Planning Commission staff report that the SUP, the new SUP, is going to up the traffic on not only 192, but Turner Road. They say they're not going to use Turner as an access to the dump. That's not true. I remember when the dump was active, they were using Turner Road every day. So my concern is there been a level of service assessment for engineered surfaces, i.e. the highway, 192, and arterial roads like non-engineered surfaces such as Turner Road? Has there been a traffic study to determine the roadway impacts to current surface improvements? What's the current traffic index rating across the access of these roadways? What is the impact of additional heavy equipment on these roadways? I live obviously on Turner Road, and after a heavy rain that we've had just recently, the erosion is so bad that I can't even get in my own driveways without a four-wheel drive vehicle. I have a car that won't get through the ruts. County still hasn't come out and graded the surfaces of the road yet. So I can only imagine with increased traffic, I'm assuming additional servicing will be required and probably additional road rock to be put in there. That's going to cost somebody some money. So I'm just going to say, is the county considering paving Turner Road like they have paved the other entrance to the dump? Because that's probably going to be something that's going to be needed to be looked at. As far as environmental impact studies, I know that under the old SUP, the EIRs were conducted prior to the expansion SUP. Is there new studies going to be happening? Because there's going to be required new studies for new additional materials that are going to go in there. What are the state requirements for the EIR and the EIR mitigation? What are the proposed methods of management to ensure only approved waste material is brought into the facility? Speaking on behalf of prior experience living right next to the dump, I guarantee some things that weren't supposed to be in that dump are in that dump. And I think somebody said the fires are out. Well, I don't agree with that because I can smell the burns on a regular basis. I did read through their new stormwater pollution prevention plan. Being a contractor myself, I understand that's a pretty standard plan. I understand where they probably got it. Has the applicant submitted fully developed operational plans, including the monitoring of likely contaminants? Are there requirements for surface contaminant migration monitoring? Is there a subsurface contaminant migration? Or are there airborne contamination and monitoring? Because if you can smell it, there's airborne particles moving through your area. And I want to know, is there going to be a third-party team of inspectors or monitors or anything involved, or is it all going to be in-house monitoring of what goes into that dump? Because when you increase to 120 trucks running up and down 192, and you said, I think somebody said it's 5 to 6 loads an hour, it's going to be more like 8 loads an hour with 8 employees, not a handful from the community. So how are they going to know what's in all the backs of these trucks, especially if they're tarped like they're supposed to be? And if it is approved, what is the expected time frame for approving the facility expansion? And what is the expected time frame for the facility opening up for business? I say those things only because I got to get on it real quick trying to sell my house again, because I'm not going to live with that dump as it's expanding, because I live adjacent to his property. And it's only a matter of time. You're going to set the precedence. If you say, well, this is a new SUP with new areas involved, okay, what's going to happen 2 years from now when they say, well, we need a little bit more area? We got all this extra area. So you start adding these expansions, and all of a sudden it's going to be the whole area from 192 to 17 Highway. And I'm just saying, we gotta stop it somewhere. So, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. I'm Sharon Wagner. I live at 22578 Easton Road. My husband and I have lived in that house for 37 years. We built that home on my family farm, and we have been adjacent across the road from the dump since I've been a kid. So when they say this has been here for centuries or decades, that's true. It has been, but it has never, in my lifetime, had the issues that we've had over the last 4 years. So when they bring up that it's already there, sure, it was there, but there's never been an issue like we've had in the last 4 years. And yes, we've been dealing with this for over 3 years. The constant look, when I look back on some of my letters that I sent previously, you would have noticed the mounds of trash and the mounds of stuff that we sent in and the debris that flows into our yards from the dump. So I know that's a separate SUP, but based on their comments, they brought that into the discussion. It's now an extension. So what they're trying to do is expand their overreach based on the cease and desist, over 600,000 cubic yards overreach in the current landfill. So what does that tell you? When they expand, are they going to just disregard the regulations from the state and allow that cubic overage to increase again? They're trying to deal with this overage that's in the old SUP or the landfill by expanding. And I agree with the gentleman that said that what happens now when they fill that? Are they going to say, oh, well, the only fix is that we expand? We fill that. The only fix is that we expand. And I don't think that's fair to the community. I've lived in this area, like I said, my entire life, and I want to see my children and my grandchildren have the opportunity to live in a community that has a good residential community. My daughter is going to build on Turner Road, so yet there's another place that they'd like to expand, and they thought they were going to be far enough away from the dump. Well, now we're moving into that area again, and I would just say that I think it is a negative impact on our community. It is a negative impact on our personal property. As you know, it takes down what the ability to sell, and it has taken down the value of my home. Nobody wants to live next to a dump. And we have dealt with this dump. The debris and the smell is unbelievable. I will give credit that the smell is not every day, but when the day comes that it is bad, it is really bad. And you can't sit out on your front porch and smell it. So, no, the fire is not out. There is still smoldering. You can see it when you are on Cemetery Hill. You can see the smoldering still happening, and you can smell it at my home. So it's not solved. I will give credit that they are working on that, trying to do that, but to me that doesn't satisfy the problem for me. I still have to live with that. I have to deal with that on the basis of when I walk out in the morning, is it going to be a good morning or am I going to have to deal with that smell all day? The other thing I would say is that I do understand that this SUP was presented by new ownership. However, if you read through your applicant, the people that are going to be managing it on a day-to-day basis are the same people that were on the last SUP. So I understand that it's a new company that owns it, but it has clearly stated that the plant manager, the operation are the people that managed the last one. So it's not changing. It's going to stay the way it is. They had disregard to regulations by the KDAG. That's why we're in the situation we're in now. And I don't think it's fair to the community that we would allow this to expand yet again. And so I would just say that that I think that this operation, that you should deny this SUP, because I do not think it's helpful to this community or Leavenworth County. I think it does not protect our environment. It does not protect the people in this community, and it is not promoting public health, safety, and the welfare of the Leavenworth County residents. And that is what I think the planning and zoning should look at, is whether it is helping the residents of this county or if it's hindering it. And I definitely believe it is hindering this community. It is not a good situation, and I hope that you will deny.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Karen Crook. My husband Lloyd and I have been married for 40 years, and it's his family farm as well. We reside at 22461 Happy Hollow Road in Easton. We are just northwest of the dump. We also share the 160 acres northwest of the dump with our brothers and our sisters and our families. We have hay and a pasture, and we have a family lake that has been in our family since 1945, 80 years. Our roots run deep, and we can't just up and move. Nor should that ever be expected of any of us. We are taxpayers in Leavenworth County in good standing. We respect authority. The owners of this dump do not live in Leavenworth County, nor do they have to breathe in what we breathe every day. The issues that the dump has caused is going to be seeping for years into the air, soil, and its Stranger Creek that flows and feeds into Olathe 1, District 1 water, which is a huge metropolis. None of us ever thought this would happen, nor did any of us want this headache. It's been extremely stressful, to say the least. The dangers this poses is astronomical and catastrophic. This landfill was used as a dump for solid waste and hazardous waste, along with all kinds of garbage. This is not an industrial area. This is where families live and want to breathe clean country air and live peacefully and safely in our county. This doesn't matter who owns it. It's not about money. It's about the water and the soil, and this is leaching out in the unlined areas, and they're going to continue to contaminate our farm grounds and our water sources, and it's going to affect thousands to millions of people, not just us. So the methane gas and the leachate water from this garbage is unreal. There's also a real concern for the fear of radon. I'm not going to go into what causes radon. I did research, but after listening to what they presented, I changed my train of thought. So a lot of things cause radon. That's another concern. I now have an even more larger concern that any C&D landfill that operates and follows guidelines is dangerous in a community where there's homes and families. It just is. It's not just homes and families. It's rural homes and families. It's farms. It's kids driving on farm permits at 14 years old on a road that is up and down. These trucks aren't looking for these kids pulling out of driveways, nor are they looking for our animals that live in our yards. We're not zoned. We might have radius collars on animals, but it doesn't matter. These trucks are going to fly down that turn of road. It's very dangerous. It's not surface, as someone else said. Our community has come together in a strong opposition against this landfill. That's why so many people are speaking out, and we don't understand why this is even being revisited. It's just unreal to me. Just because someone puts the work in to cover the mistakes they made prior doesn't mean it's a safe and suitable location. Cancer is a real horrible, painful thing. It's degrading and deadly, and none of us want it. Nor do we want to watch our loved ones go through it. For comparison, I am sure you've all heard of the Camp Lejeune water contamination. It's a significant issue that affected thousands of Marines and their families in North Carolina from 1953 to 1987, including mine. My father, a decorated and respected Marine, was stationed there for 5 years, while my siblings, 6 of us and mother, were exposed daily. From the water we drank, our Kool-Aid, our water we showered in, and what we played in, we were contaminated. No one knew this was happening until it was too late. My father passed away 3 years ago of lymphoma B, a cancer directly related to contamination. That's what we're talking about here. Contaminated water causes long-term health effects that are linked to a wide range of illnesses, including cancers, infertilities, birth defects, miscarriages, Parkinson's disease, and these are from industrial spills, leaky underground tanks, and waste disposable sites. They have to be in an industrial area. They cannot be in a family community. It just doesn't work. We didn't know this was happening. We didn't have a chance to protect ourselves with the Camp Lejeune issue. However, this is a real issue, and we know it. All of you know it. Knowing what we already know about this location, the results, the impact, the risks that the company has created in our area, it's too high for this area, the amount of people that are ultimately affected. The Bible encourages us to protect both the land and the well-being of people. We as individuals owe it to ourselves and everyone to provide guidance and protections for one another. We're trusting that us as Leavenworth County residents, voted members, protect our rights and homes as our well-being in our lives. We respectfully request that you deny this SUP. Thank you, and may God be your compass.
Thank you, ma'am.
My name is Howard Crook. I'm at 31871 223rd Street, Easton Road. It's been stated, a lot of the things that have been said up here by my family members, I've got the same belief. Back in 47, my grandpa bought this farm, 240 acres, straight across from the dump. It's always been a dump. It's always been a rock quarry. I rode enough dirt bikes over climbing the hills and the ponds. It used to be almost a playground. And the people that owned it prior to us respected us. A lot of them were from our area that owned the dump. The DB, the old DB is in there. Brick. You know, a few trucks, and then it was done. The traffic is a major, major thing out there. If you travel 192, that state highway is up and down and curves. There's no shoulder. We've already had one of the trucks run into somebody over at 7 and 192 and rear end them. That God bless, all 4 of them were alive. 2 kids in the van going to school with their parents. I drive a school bus for 449. I witnessed many, many trucks passing other vehicles on 7 highway, blowing by them. There's no respect. And then, like Karen just mentioned, you've got all these student drivers out here. You've got real kids with farm permits driving. And it's a concern. Being the school bus driver, I see a lot of it. I see a lot of, oh, man, that was close. And it's something we don't need in our area. The other thing I want to touch on that farm 13 years ago, I was before you all, and 80 acres of that farm was plotted for Crook Hill subdivision, which would be the 80 aboarding the properties towards the dump right now. I've got 2 sons, and I've got 8 or 9 other nieces and nephews that could go up there at some point and put homes on this hill. It's on the hill. They call it Crook Hill. But you could put homes up there. Well, right now, my son isn't interested in doing that and looking at the dump and smelling the dump every day. So my wife and I spent an extra $5,000 back when Don White was still surveying and went around and around with him that we had to plot that in order for us to be able to give them 5 acres at some point down the road. That's not going to happen right now. That's all changed in the last 4 years. You know, and it's, you know, like they said, it's a shame that we're here again and again and again when this has no benefit to our community or anybody within our community. So there's nights we can't even sit on our decks. like Sharon said, it's terrible when you have company come out and they look at you and they go, what is that smell? You know, that isn't what my grandpa wanted back in 47 when he bought this farm. We're rural, we're farm, we're country. We don't need the city's trash dumped in our backyard right now. So that's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
I'm Dennis Crook at 22351 Easton Road. I'm about within a half a mile of there, right on Easton Road. I will just say that I disagree with the dump. It should not be approved. I will agree with everything that everybody said that disagreed, so I'll pass up that to help you out on time-wise here. But I'll make it short and sweet. And I have worked at a construction site for 40 years now, this year. And I know what goes in those dumpsters that goes to C&D landfills. So I'm torn in two different ways. I know that has to go somewhere. But I want to know, why would the county put themselves up liability? In the state of Kansas, every county should not approve an SUP for a C&D landfill because the chemicals and the materials that are going into that landfill are worse than your garbage landfills. And if anybody doesn't believe that, come to a construction site and see how much epoxy gets put in there, how much paint gets put in there, how much the materials now that we're using compared to 40 years ago are totally different. They do not know what they're going to cause. They're now, all plywood even has a primer surface on it. Every time it's cut, you make dust. Every time they tape the seams, they seal them with this adhesive tapes that are going into these dumpsters. These things need to be more protected than any C&D landfill. Nobody in the state of Kansas, no county should subject themselves to that problem. And the other point I'd like to make now is the KHD did not take care of business out here. They did not do inspections. Whenever it comes down to the bottom line is, after it gets approved by the county, they have no control over it. The state of Kansas has to come in and do the inspections, and they did not do it. So that's all I'd like to say.
Thank you, sir.
My name's Ron Wyman. I live at 31245 Cemetery Road. I've been a resident out there for over 40 years. And they're right. It's changed hands several times. Never with the problem that we have now. Trash blowing, smell, fire. You know, they've pretty well covered everything. So that's my main concern. Get up in the morning, you go out, you can't even breathe. You turn around and go back in the house. So I'll make it short and sweet. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'm Jacob Pino. My wife and I live at 21940 Easton Road. I think our neighbors pretty much covered everything. I just want to say we are against this because of the truck traffic, the smell, you know, pretty much everything that's been covered. Thank you.
Thanks, Jacob.
Thank you.
John, can you grab that mic? She's got it. Okay.
I'm Donna Crook Rogers, and in 1962, I married my husband, and there has never, until the last few years, of 62 years living there, have I ever experienced what I have. My nieces and nephews, my son, and everything, it's not what we had back when I come into the family. I want to live my life there, but I go out my back door in my gazebo The table has got soot on it, and I wash that off every week or so. It's still in the air right now, floating around. I know some's coming from Canada, but I have dealt with that, and I've never had that in all those years. It's not fair to our little community out there. I'm a widow now, and I would like to stay in that area because I am so secure with my family all around me. All my children, grandchildren, and all that are there. I just want to tell you what it means to live in our little community because we really are family out there. And we do pay our taxes, and we do our part to be good people. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, sir.
My name is John Wagner, 22578 Easton Road. I pretty much agree with what's been covered already. I know this is an expansion from the previous landfill, and I just want to say, people that operated the previous landfill are also going to be operating this one, and I think the performance should speak for itself on the job they did at the last landfill on what this one is probably going to be just like. And it's going to be something that we'll have to deal with, and the county was blocked out. There was nobody being able to enforce anything, and I just think that we're making a mistake if we approve this and open this at SUP. So, thank you.
Thanks, sir. You can raise that mic. You can raise that mic, ma'am. There you go.
I'm Kara Luganville Smith. I live at 22476 Turner Road. And we moved there 10 years ago. And we're outsiders. But we have met the people in the community, and they have made us feel like family. I just want to agree with what everybody else has said. Choose Easton Health over Flatlands Wealth. Deny the SUP.
Thank you, ma'am.
My name is Lloyd Crook. I live at 22461 Happy Hollow Road. Karen and I have lived there for almost 40 years now. I'm totally against the landfill. My main concern, I think, is that hill going down into Easton with semis and loads of trash. And I got young nieces and nephews that's starting to drive. My real concern is the traffic, and I think it's going to be a disaster.
Thanks, sir.
My name is Julie Eastburn. I live at 22562 Easton Road, Easton, Kansas. My husband and I have lived in our house will be 38 years in July. I want to agree with everybody else that wants to deny this. My big worry is you also got to remember that 192 highway that the semis have to come in, you have a school district. You have 3 schools there, a lot of kids, a lot of people going there every day, including my daughter and my niece that work there. So I just thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am.
My name is Chris Wyman. I live at 221 South 3rd, Easton, Kansas. While I concur with everything that's been said so far, there's one point that I would just like to raise that hasn't been said yet, and that is with them saying that the SUP is a extension of the first one. The first one came with litigation, which he sued the county for several $100,000, and I just would like to say if you were to open yourselves up to that, the same thing will probably happen again. And I would like to see our county resources being used in a better way than being tied up in litigation with this SUP. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Good.
Shut it down. Any other additional information to be presented?
No, sir.
Okay. Public comment portion of this hearing is now closed. Kansas law allows for a petition protesting the decision of the Planning Commission to be filed. That petition must be filed within 14 calendar days after the date of this public hearing. Additional information on the filing of a protest petition can be obtained from the Office of the Plan and Zoning. Questions, comments from the members of the commission?
One moment, if I may, Commissioners.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah, I apologize. I should have got your attention a little bit earlier.
Sorry.
But we did have extensive public comments, so if the commission would be willing, it usually is customarily to let the applicant come back and offer some rebuttal to some of the information that was presented.
Okay. You did a good job presenting earlier, so
Well,
I know why they looked at you to.
Well, I have total respect for the people here, and I know there were problems there. And we've been here now for a year and a half trying to fix them, trying to get that fire out. We, at this point, honestly cannot find any fire. Now, that doesn't mean, it's underground. We don't know what's been there for the last 70 years. All we know is we're trying to fix it. But when I listen to the people here, I have total respect. Nobody wants the landfill. Nobody wants a transfer station. Nobody wants a material recovery facility. Nobody really wants them, but we have to have them. And we have to have them somewhere. So when we came here, we thought, okay, this has already been established. It's been here for a long time. And maybe the last people didn't do it the way they should have. Maybe I'm not judging them whether they did or they didn't. I'm just, obviously, there are problems. And we've gone through this. I've done this for a long time. I have a facility in Santa Fe Springs, California. It took me 10 years, 7 years to get it through the Planning Commission, and 3 years to build it. And that is a facility that we recycle. We do about 2,000 tons a day there. We recycle almost 100,000 tons a year, and it has been a very successful facility. And I told the people, just like I would tell these people, if you gave us the opportunity. I went through it. I turned around one night and they were talking about how bad the garbage is and how bad the trash. And my comment was, "What do you guys put in your trash? This is not my trash. It's your trash. It's from the community. It's from the state of Kansas. I'm not the one generating all the trash. It's just my job to try to get it to a safe place in a safe manner and dispose of it and live by all the state rules, the county rules, the state, local level, everything. I can stand here today and swear to you, I've been running that facility for 5 years now, and I promised the people in the city that if we had issues, I would leave. They started out and they gave me 750 ton a day. They said if you do it without problems, we'll extend it to 1,500 ton a day. So we did it. We got our 1,500 ton a day. Now, and there's two reasons. The city makes a lot of money. They make over $1 million a year on this transfer station. And they called me, and this is honest truth, and said, would you go up another 1,000 tons? Would you go up to 2,500 tons? Can you get enough business to handle it? And will the facility handle it? And I said, I don't really think that facility's built for 2,500, but I think 2,000, and that's what we do now. I have not had one. I'm in an industrial complex. If you drive by there, I promise you wouldn't even know. The only way you'd know what we were doing is you'd see trash trucks coming in and out. We have to have a place to take our trash. One of the things that I wanted to talk about with the community, and maybe you'll say, I don't have any issue. I respect the people, and I know exactly how you feel. We need to recycle. We need better programs. The one gentleman talked about what goes in the C&D. We should line the landfill. If we ever did it, we should have it lined. We should do it right. Maybe we would even do an MSW and have a mix of it and make it a better facility for the neighborhood for all of you. We need to line it. We need to do it right. can't have trucks driving like that we don't do that. And I would recycle the heck out of it. I would pull out the wood, I'd pull out the metal, I'd pull out, and then I would shred it and just lay it on top. And it keeps down the dust. We don't even have to do it here. We should have recycling centers. The state needs to help us. The county needs to help us to help you. And that's the kind of business that we do. That's the kind of things that we try to do. The last thing I want to do is walk in here. I don't live here. I'm not going to come in here and try to hurt anybody in this room. I promise you that. If we did a comprehensive, serious program, not only in your community, but for the state of Kansas, and we did it right, we could do something really special here. And that landfill's always going to be there forever. It's there. It's not going anywhere. And I think we can do. I think we could do good things. So, in answering you or rebutting, I would love to sit down with people that want to really, if they really want to do something, and do something big for the community. And let's put some money back into it. I know every community's struggling for money. What if we could put $1 million back in the county every year for programs, for all the things that you guys need? And we can do that because notice someone said we shouldn't be taking all the trash.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I just finish this one thing?
Yeah.
We shouldn't be taking all the trash from everybody else. You shouldn't. They should have to pay you for that. And that's the thing that could be a big deal for your community. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Hey, sir, hang on a minute.
Just for my curiosity, what's the average acreage size of the C&D landfill in your operation?
Hey, do me a favor, Commissioner. Yeah, there you
What's
go.
the average acreage size of a C&D landfill in your operation?
I recycle C&D material. I run 2 landfills in New Mexico. We actually run them, and they're mixed. They don't recycle, so they're mixed C&D and trash together, which gives you better compaction. It is a good thing in a lot of ways, especially if you line it. So I do that. In California is where California recycles everything. We're to the point now where we recycle food waste. We make natural gas and electricity. We do anaerobic digestion. There's a lot of things that you can do, and you can do it right. And I'm in a small area, 4 acres, and 2,000 tons run through there a day, and I've never had an odor complaint. And these poor people sit up here, and they have to come out in their backyard and smell odor every day. That's the kind of thing that you can't have. No wonder they're upset. We have to fix it. And so we have to, we'll either head out, or we could talk more and try to do something good. The landfill is not, it's here for life. It's never going away. But we can make it a lot better. So I hope I answered your question. On the C&D landfill, you want to, if you just throw C&D into a landfill, it doesn't work very well because it's all. I'll give you another example. In New Mexico, we have a landfill that was all C&D. The county was losing money because they can't really compact it. It's all bulky and the way it comes in. We started mixing regular trash with it, MSW trash, and we were able to then get 3 times the compaction and made that thing last. And now they have made enough money to do the post-closure and post-closure for the landfill. So that's another thing we got to think about up there. We got to take care of that. That's going to be there for a long time. He's going to take care of that, right? So there's a lot of good that could come out of it too. If you guys come up with I'll come out whenever. If you guys could come up with a group of people who would be interested in talking, definitely get residents involved. And they might say, no, we just don't want to do it. And if that's the way it goes, that's the way it goes. But we're here if you need us and if you're interested.
Thanks, sir. Before I move on, is there anything else you wanted to add? I'm sorry I didn't ask you earlier.
No, Commissioners. I mean, if this is the part where you're getting ready to have your own deliberation and speak, ask any questions that you have of the applicant or staff, I would just take a moment to remind the Commission. I know you've been doing it a while, but, we are here for an SUP. Kansas case law has been consistent when considering this. You should base and frame your comments and any decisions you make based on the golden factors. If you need any reminders of the golden factors, I'm happy to go through them again with you, but I know that, like I said, you've all are experienced, some more so than others.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Let me go back to my original question. Questions and comments? Members of the commission.
I have one question. This is probably directed for you, Misty. It's been brought up that this is basically an extension of the previous SUP. My understanding is this is a brand new SUP. The other SUP isn't to be considered, and since I didn't vote on that other SUP, I'm looking at what we're looking at today, and I just want to make sure legally that's how we need to look at this. We're not to consider the former SUP as an extension, but this is a new application for an SUP.
Well, Commissioner, that is a good question, and I know it's going to be a little bit confusing, but this application is for a new SUP. This is how staff has presented it, and you should be considering the factors that are in the staff report, and this is a standalone SUP. Now, the applicant has said that this is an extension of the existing landfill, so you can keep that in mind with your consideration, but I would ask in your deliberation that you can keep that fact in mind, but at the same time, you shouldn't be considering the problems associated with the last SUP when considering this one.
Thank you.
I would like to have the owner come back up for a moment and answer a couple questions, if you would.
You know, this thing stinks. Let me move over here so that way you can hear it. Ask it again.
I'd like to have the owner come up and just answer a couple quick questions. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
I guess, look at this. This is a pretty serious problem for our county and the community of Easton. Very serious problem. And I hear you get up and make a lot of sense, and you tell me that you know how to run these. You tell me you could fix this problem, but we don't know how you're going to fix it. It seems to me like the best approach for this whole thing, if you're serious about wanting to run the facility up there, is to come up with a detailed plan and present it to the community of Easton and the community of Leavenworth before we can ever make a decision. Right now, I mean, there's serious odor problems. There's still fire problems, probably. And I'd like to know how you could fix it. And I think the community would, too.
I think that's a great question, and I would be real interested in doing that. I can fix it. And I mean, I can't fix the fact that it's going to be a landfill because it's a landfill. It's already a landfill. It's perfect. We got entrance. We have everything there. But we get updated, modern equipment. We do it right. It costs money. It does cost money. We have to know that. It's not just like dumping it in the hole. That's not what I'm talking about doing. But I could come up with a comprehensive plan. We could talk about what it costs. We could talk about where we're going to get. I mean, how much would you want to do, and do those kind of things. Definitely have the community involved so they can come see what we do. They can see it firsthand. They're invited. They can come see what we do in different programs where we can have that kind of tonnage. That landfill's never seen that kind of tonnage, and we're bringing that in every day. And I swear to you, I have never had a complaint from one of my neighbors. And I pick up the trash. I'm a waste hauler too. I pick up the trash in my neighborhood there, and I've never had one person complain because we get it cleaned out every day. We keep the place spotless. We have all the mitigation measures, all the things that we do, and there are ways of running landfills properly. Okay, I would recommend a different way of doing everything, and I would love to be able to get somebody from the city at your staff level that would work with us, maybe a couple commissioners, any of you, anybody that would want to get on board. get a hold of any of the residents, the people that are really concerned, which I understand it, and show them what we do, and maybe they buy into it and we go for it, or maybe they say, you know what, we just don't want to do it. And if that happens, then that happens.
Well, let me ask staff, what's your recommendation or thought on this? I mean, I don't see how we can make a decision tonight.
Well, I think we're talking about two different things here. While the applicant may perceive this as an extension of his existing landfill, the fact remains the proposed area is currently undeveloped. It's being used as ag ground. We're talking about remediation on an existing SUP, not the SUP before you today. So I would suggest that if the applicant believes he can address a lot of these issues, he should contact the citizenry of Easton and maybe do these proposals, then come to the county once he has that plan in place. But that is a separate issue than what you have before you tonight. And from a staff level, we stand on our recommendation. So if this is the issue, the first SUP, then that is a separate issue to deal with than what you have before you today. That would be my recommendation. Act on what you have before you today, and if there's a remediation plan dealing with another SUP, I would suggest that the owner do his due diligence, talk to people in Easton, and then approach the county. None of that sounds out of line to me, but again, should not be weighed in your decision here today. This is new property outside of that original SUP and should be dealt with standalone, regardless of how the state permits it, regardless of the perception of the applicant. That is how it's being presented to you today.
Well, with all due respect, I don't agree with the way it's presented. I don't think it should have been another SUP. I think it should have been. That's what we tried to get those meetings so we could have a better conversation about that. We have not done anything on that property. We dug dirt on that property for cover. The property that we're talking about is not farmland right now. It's being used, and we pull dirt for cover, and there's landfill operations that go there. But we never had an opportunity to have those conversations. And then you're asked tonight, we spent millions of dollars already on this. You're asked tonight to make a decision when you don't even really know the whole thing's going on up there. So I don't think it's fair to personally, with all due respect, I don't think it's fair to vote on this. This should not be a separate SUP. It should be part of the original SUP, and it should be an extension because we're using that property already. That's how I feel.
Well, guys, here's how I look at that. The state stepped in on that original SUP and shut this place down. And I know this gentleman wasn't involved in that. And I think we should keep these SUPs totally separate. The old SUP does not have anything to do with what they're asking for tonight. My understanding is it's been shut down by the state. It hasn't been reopened. It hasn't been reopened by the county commissioners. And I think we just need to look at this current SUP and put and let's get that to a vote. And if this gentleman and I'm all for a C&D recycling deal. They're all over in Lee Summit, Blue Springs. You take your concrete to them, they crush it, you buy it back for $17 a ton.
Yep.
We could do the same thing, but we're not. That's not our topic tonight.
If I could just, since we're having the conversation, that in the MOU, which again, this isn't any of my stuff. The lawsuit, I didn't have anything to do with that, but I did read it, so I know what's up. That landfill was shut down. That they did because of some survey issues. They went too high with it. The only way we're going to get that to the right height is we're going to need more space. So how do we fix and that's just being honest, right? How are we going to fix the problem up there with the state that's where I thought it should be an extension for that reason. That's just that's my take, because this is what I do for a living. But I respect whatever you decide to do. I'm not trying to cause trouble. I don't want to have issues. I don't want to sue the county. I don't want to take your money. I just want to try to make a really good facility for us if we can. That's all.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Discussion. We're at the commissioners now. Discussion. Comments. questions, concerns? I wrote a whole
Well,
your page and a half here.
we still got unanswered environmental concerns from the way it was ran last time, and I know that's a whole separate issue, but we don't have a solution on how we're fixing that. We could have a solution, but once again, I said that's not what this SUP is about tonight. So I think we need to keep our sight on the current SUP with the land.
Well, we are.
Yeah. Well,
There's no.
and let's not get off track here,
That's
guys.
what we're doing.
Yes, gotcha.
Yep.
It doesn't sound like there's any way to table it. I mean, we
No.
deal with the issue tonight.
Nope.
But the one thing that struck me, everything y'all have already said, but they said they're going to increase it to 60 trucks, and I read in the packet, that's two ways. So you're talking about a leg of a trip there and a leg back is one truck. That doesn't include smaller vehicles that come with C&D. That's just the big trucks. So I think the point of, what does this affect on the roads, even though that's not part of this, I think that is valid for the citizens to take up. It's not ours, but there's going to be a lot of traffic. Yeah.
And once again, we got 3 schools right there. I mean, right on that curve. It's traffic would be my major concern as well.
Well, in the title, it says it is a special use permit for disposal of storage of waste materials, right? What we heard tonight was, well, it's hard if it's just pure construction type materials. It doesn't compact well, it doesn't do well. That may have something to do with the history of this thing, but now you start mixing in the household trash and all the other garbage, I say garbage, which is not considered this. This is not supposed to be garbage. This is supposed to be, as I understand. So that is something that's going to have to, they're going to have to come back and address later if they want to try to, do some of these things, which, as it's been stated, not enough time and energy with the community as well as cleaning it up and getting it right. But if you look at what the special use permit request is for, that is what it's for. It's not trucks and trucks of garbage, period. Therefore, as many of them testified, they all said the same thing. I had 14, could have been 15, could have been one off. Came up and said, hey, up until 4 years ago, we've been spending 37 years, 1947, been here since 1947, been here since 1962. Some been there 38 years, some been there, 80 years. Farmers been in the business over 80 years. And there's no question that all these family members and landowners continue to grow, and there wasn't a problem until 4 years ago.
I think.
So that.
I think that probably shines a light on what usually in every SUP conversation that we have, and I don't want to conflate, and I know this is an individual case. However, number one, it's always recommended denial because none of them by definition fit the comprehensive plan. That's why they need a special use permit. But number two, the golden factor of character of the neighborhood is usually the most prominent. My level of expertise is not in any of this, so I won't act like I'm an expert there. But asking the question of, is this right for this area, seems to be the biggest question.
That's the issue.
And especially when you're talking about a proposal that involves expansion. That seems to be where, what could be done, what could be accomplished the right way can be one conversation. But even if that's the right way, is it right to do it in this area? That's the second part of that.
Well,
and it's going to be managed by the same company that was managing the other one, correct? That's what I heard.
Yeah.
So,
but
same
remember,
management company.
New SUP, right? So we can't talk about But
It seems
Commissioner
important.
Bailey, one of the questions you were asking, which was industrial aerial, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was pondering what is the average acreage of a C&D landfill? Are there any sort of recommended, I use the word setbacks that I wrote down, but that's probably wrong, but distances from residential areas? If you were going to go pick out a new spot to do that, what would be standard practice? What would be recommended by the KDHE?
Typically, a use of this type is going to be located in an industrial area, a high-intensity use located next to other high-intensity uses. As far as the footprint of a C&D, it really is variable to the site. You can have small, you can have large.
Sure.
There is no minimum max as a general rule. Is there a need for landfill? Sure there are. But again, where you put those, the intensity of use is really the key component. So if you take a look at the staff report, you'll see the methodology that staff used to come up with this recommendation. So again, I would say take a look at that, and that would be where staff's opinion lies in each one of those elements.
Yeah. And I think, I didn't write his name down, I apologize, but the man who owns Universal noted that that facility he was talking about was in an industrial area.
That's why I brought it
and
up.
this would be a distinct difference.
Yep. Yep. I spent a lot of time in Easton. I do. I spent a lot of time in Easton. And I thought I knew a lot of the family names, but tonight I got new family names, so I'm not doing very well at Hilltop. I want to introduce myself to some of them. Questions? Concerns? Jeff, you got any?
Mine focus more on the road. I sit at that exit 7 and 192 a lot. I've seen a lot of near misses with the trucks. I'm there when the kids are going to school, and they got to make that quick left. And I reckon to my nieces who drive that way not to turn there. Go up to Millwood Road and turn left there, and whether we're making a right, or go down to Happy Hollow and take the long way to school. Just avoid that, because I've seen the trucks cut the corner and try to beat a car too many times, and that road's too narrow for those trucks. So that, and I go through Easton all the time, and I can smell when I drive through there at certain times too. So,
Thanks, Commissioner Smith.
but it's supposed to be separate, so you're supposed to get the pass.
Okay. Commissioner Owens, you already stated yours. You have anything else you want to add or question?
I drive that road all the time. I mean, it's already busy in the mornings with the high school kids, young drivers. I mean, the traffic's a big concern. But my biggest concern is the unanswered environmental impact that we're going to have on this area. I also raised my family in District 1, so that is a big concern for me. I plan on moving my children out there eventually. There's a lot of unknown factors that haven't been answered, and I think we could get answers, but I don't think we're going to get them with the SUP as it stands currently.
Okay. Commissioner Skeet?
Yeah, I just echo what the community members have said. The traffic flow, I don't feel like we have enough answers on the environmental impact. That's just where my thoughts are.
And by definition of environmental, as one of the golden factors, you're talking a lot of the environmental issues.
Correct.
Right? So you are tying your concerns to the golden factors as well.
Right.
Is that correct? Okay. And you, Commissioner Spink, as well? Okay. And which one would that be? There you go. I was looking at
Which one?
the golden factors. Which one of them would you be tying your concerns with?
mainly environmental, just that, like one of them commented about the runoff to the Stranger Creek.
Number 6 has the public health, safety, and welfare.
Yep, that's what I was going to say. Yep.
In front of me, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. I knew
Our monitors aren't working over here like your guys's.
Ours goes out all the time. We just quit looking at it. It doesn't work. Yeah. That's the reason why I'm looking down all the time. They're probably wondering what I'm doing. I'm not doodling. I'm having to look down because the screens are broken. And I've been making a lot of notes here. Okay. Okay. Commissioner Stewart?
Yeah, I think, it seems to me like we just got a few steps ahead of everything. But John and staff, I think, is right. I mean, we have to address it as it's presented to us tonight. And I think a lot of the golden factors is the character of the neighborhood.
Okay.
And if we have to narrow it down to it, we're used to doing with special use permits for somebody that wants to have a little mechanic shop in his garage, or he wants some little small business. This is not a small factor. This is a big deal. And I think all we can do right now is do what staff is recommending and address it as it's being presented right now.
Okay.
Which also doesn't mean that something couldn't change and be brought up again in the future in some other way with community involvement and all of that other.
That's right. Yeah, I would love to see somebody come back in and give a good presentation to the whole community before they come in and ask for a decision, to just let them keep operating as they are.
Okay. Okay. All right. Commissioner Guschaw.
Probably going to be echoing the similar sentiment to Golden Factor 4 related to traffic. We all have driven up and down that road. We all know about the lack of shoulders and the windy nature of the road. We also know we've seen what was done on 92 Highway, just outside of Leavenworth, that had to be basically improved to allow access for heavy equipment. It would be nice to see something like that be done. I'm not saying that that's what I'm proposing needs to happen, but if we were to look at something like this here, I can totally agree with this notion of traffic is going to be a problem, continue to be a problem, until something gets done to address that.
Okay, so you're addressing that as one of the golden factors, but I'm going to tie it back to have it been an industrial base, then you wouldn't be having that concern.
Correct? Very much so.
Correct. Unfortunately, we have a landfill in a neighborhood, right? I mean, I'm not going to say misquote me. Not a neighborhood, a rural area with rural families and farms all around. Doesn't quantify as industrial base. Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Clemens, you got anything else you want to add to yours?
Well, I mean, you've already touched on a lot of them, the character of the neighborhood, the zoning of the adjacent properties, and I'm talking about the new area. If they've already started improvements on that, that's outside our purview. But just looking at that, it's still right next to rural areas. So I think, too, and I have real heartburns with the traffic and the lack of the safety in number 6.
Okay, so number 6 and number 4.
6, 4, 2, and 1.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Bailey, anything else you want to add?
No, I would say I appreciate the candidness and the respect that he showed towards the residents, and I appreciate that what can possibly be done with these type of facilities. Excuse me. The unfortunate fact that we have to look at things in a segmented way and not conflate them doesn't seem comprehensive to solve the problem, because what's also true is we have an existing problem that this in of itself doesn't necessarily address. And then it also has compounding issues such as the lack of being an industrial area, the concerns from the citizens in that area. And for me, that's usually something that weighs heavily. The thoughts of the people in that area should carry weight. And so all of those things are weighing on my mind to, unfortunately, not really think expansion is probably the answer.
Okay. Okay. I'll get to that in just a minute. Commissioner Rosenthal.
Well, my thoughts is we have other CD landfills in Leavenworth County, and they're, as far as I know, they're not a problem. Is that correct?
This is the only C&D landfill in the county that I'm aware of. We have other clean rubble landfills.
Yeah. Otherwise, they're using their own, just for their own.
Yeah, it's just clean rubble that I'm aware. I can't think of another C&D landfill.
Okay. But landfills go at an area for a reason. They just don't pick out of, say, well, we're just going to put it there. There's got to be something about the contour or something that lets them believe that this is the correct place for a landfill. Either must be the contour of land. So if you're saying it's not a right place for it, where is the right place for it? It might not be anywhere else in the county where it might be a right place for it. It's a right place for a reason, and I imagine they can tell you that, why it's there at this location. And the fact that it ran for many years without a problem shows that it probably is a good area for it, for landfill. However, and you can say they're not tied together all you want, but the people here today are here because of the one that's there existing now, and the fact that it was not done right, and it is a problem. The traffic, I think, is a problem. I don't know if you can put a traffic impact fee on them to get the roads taken care of, especially the county roads that they would go on. I think that would be a good idea to look into that to make them safer. But I think that's still probably, to me, would be the main issue in it. Besides that, we can come up with a plan to take care of the old problem and continue on with a proper landfill that the people didn't have a problem with. I think you should have the time to come up with that plan and put it down the road for a period of time so he could come up and show that he can take care of this problem and make that problem go away, because that problem isn't going to go away unless somebody takes care of it. And if he's willing to take care of it and run the landfill correctly, I think it's be a benefit to the county and to the residents around there. But that's an if. And I would say give him a chance. But that would mean tabling it for a good period of time till he can show that.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Rosenthal. All right. Any other comments from our commission? Okay, well, at this time, I'll entertain a motion on this request.
Gotcha.
It's a special use permit for case DEV 25-011. It's a special use permit for a disposal or storage of waste materials for Flatland Disposal, LLC, as outlined in your posted agenda.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I find that the special use permit request does not comply with the golden factors, as we've listed several of them, and I move to recommend denial to the Board of County Commissioners as outlined in case number DEV 25-011.
Commissioner Owens, could you please list which golden factors.
There are several of them. The golden factor number one, it does not match the character of the neighborhood. It's incompatible with the surrounding agricultural area. We have unanswered environmental future damage that we don't know about. We have unanswered traffic problems that.
Those are additional golden factors.
Yeah,
So
those
add
are
that
just
number.
the additional
So
golden
that's 1,
factors.
2, and 4.
1,
and
2, and
6
4. 1,
is-
2, 4, and 6.
I think that's what you're hitting is 1, 2, 4, and 6.
I believe you are correct, sir.
Do you need him to restate his motion, ma'am?
If you can, for the record, that would be
Dear
nice.
Mr. Chairman, I find that the special use permit requested does not comply with the golden factors 1, 2, 4, and 6, and I move to recommend denial to the Board of County Commissioners as outlined in case number DEV 25-011.
Chairman, I second.
I have a motion and I have a second. Discussion. Commissioners, discussion. Okay. Okay. Let me call roll. Commissioner Bailey, you would be,
Yes
by
to
saying
support.
yes, you're in support of the motion of denial of the special use permit in
That's
accordance
correct.
with golden factors 1, 2, 4, and 6.
That's correct. So a yes vote means you are in support of denial. If there's additional reasons for your vote, please state them.
I would say yes, but at the same time, I would like further discussion to be had on solving the issue, the underlying issue of it all. But yes.
Okay. Commissioner Stewart,
Yes.
and your reason is,
Well, we're voting on a very narrow special use permit, and that's what we're considering at this time. I would love to see a better discussion about this and a better presentation that the whole county could really get some information on, and maybe we'll look at it differently. But as of right now, I think we should deny it.
okay? Give me just a second, folks. I'm writing as fast as I can. Okay. Commissioner Guschalk.
Yes, agreement with the golden factors 1, 2, 4, and 6. Also agreement that it would be wonderful to work towards a win-win situation in this.
Okay. For more information, work towards cleaning up and those kind of things. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
Got it. Okay. 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 Commissioner Spink.
I also vote yes, but also like, if he is serious on doing something in the future, get the community behind it, get them involved, and bring it back to us.
Okay. And I can highlight the golden factors that you identified earlier was golden factor 6,
Yes.
which was the traffic issue was your biggest concern.
6 is probably my biggest one.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Owens.
As
You
stated,
actually made the motion
I
and
made
you
the
stated
motion. Mine is a yes vote. Golden factors 1, 2, 4, and 6. I just don't think we have enough information. You know.
Okay. Okay. Okay, Commissioner Skeet.
Yes, based on the staff recommendation and golden factors 1, 2, 4, and 6.
Commissioner Clemens.
As I seconded, I agree with golden factors 1, 2, 4, and 6. Vote a yes to deny. But I would also agree with the other commissioners that I appreciate the owner and his willingness to address the problems, and I hope in the future that he does address the problems and convinces the community that he would be a good steward of the property and the expansion.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Rosenthal?
I would rather see it tabled to see what he could actually do to clean up that mess that's there finally and let these people stop breathing smoke. But the traffic issue, I think, is a big concern of mine, and so I'm going to vote yes, too. I would like to see that place cleaned up, but we're going to have to trust somebody to do that. So.
Okay.
Not getting done now.
Okay. The motion is denied by a vote of 8-0. The Board of County Commissioners will consider this item no earlier than July the 2nd, 2025 at 9 a.m. in the Leavenworth County Courthouse. Before I go any further, let me just say this. On record, this was the most professional, kind-hearted, truthful hearing we've had in a long time. No kidding. I mean, this was everyone that got up and spoke was out of pure respect. The applicant addressed his neighbors out of pure respect, and the neighbors addressed the issues. And I can't thank each and every one of you enough for your professionalism, your kindness, and your support in what you believe in and how you exercise that information. What you heard the commissioners for Planning and Zoning tonight, they were all concerned about the residents as well as the applicant. So it was pretty abundant that each and every one of you came back with would really like the opportunity for you, sir, to be able to address all these things. As we say, proof's in the pudding. I think you have a fine reputation from others that you have. I think you took on a big project, and I applaud you for coming to the county and taking on that project and trying to do well and make things much, much better. As you heard from several of them, which they wouldn't live there if they didn't believe this, things were fine until about 4 years ago. As a leader of many, I can solve that issue real quick, but I'll leave that with you. I think you know where I'm coming from.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. And I appreciate every one of you. I appreciate every one of you. Any other questions, comments from the staff tonight? Okay. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much.